Mindful of the recent Supreme Court ruling concerning the establishment and jurisdiction of the court-martials, and guided by the address of His Excellency the President on the same matter, acknowledging the need for legislative clarity and amendment or alignment of the Uganda People's Defense Forces Act with the decision of the Supreme Court of Uganda. Cognizant of the ongoing budgetary process for the financial year 2025-2026 and the necessity to prioritize key sectors that will drive economic growth, national security, and service delivery in line with the NRM National Strategic Development Agenda, aware that the functions of the NRM Parliamentary Caucus is to consider and adopt a common position on any parliamentary business before the matter is tabled for debate in Parliament, in accordance with Article 35, Clause 5 of the NRM Constitution. Conscious that when a common position has been adopted, members of the NRM caucus are bound to support the adopted position in Parliament in accordance with Article 36, Clause 6 of the NRM Constitution. Having exhaustively deliberated on the above matters, in light of various testimonies of affected persons and communities, and the historical perspective by the learned Attorney General, among others, do hereby resolve as follows: to support the proposed amendments to the UPDF Act as presented by the Honorable Attorney General with the following broad principles: that misconduct by serving military personnel be tried in the first instance by the military court-martial with the right of appeal through the civilian courts. 2, that civilians who acquire specified firearms illegally be tried by the military court-martial in the first instance with the right of appeal through the civilian courts. 3, that provision be made to provide for right of appeal from decisions of court-martial to civilian courts, implying the court-martials will be subordinate to the civilian courts. The final resolution, we received the budgetary priorities for financial year 2025-2026 as presented by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and deferred debate to the next NRM caucus meeting.
What we did there was the unit discipline, which used to be a unit disciplinary committee, has been replaced by the unit, this is the lowest, and headed by a person qualified to be an advocate. So if you want to say a court like that could be, you equate it to, not LC1. LC1 is not a court. That maybe magistrate court, yeah, but it's not in that hierarchy. What we need to know is to appreciate what martial law is. Some of you should be able to read so that you inform this country. What is martial law? What is military law? How is it done in other countries? Is Uganda the only country which is unique with this kind of law? Why? What are the historical aspects of martial law? So that we don't make things that yeah. So there are only 3. Parliament is there to make laws. And amendment is one of the processes of how this country can benefit from a legislative agenda of government and of anybody through parliament. So it would be very unfair of you to get us to discuss the specific clauses of the bill right now, other than the principles as clearly articulated by very able and articulated government chief whip. I think for now, it would be comforting to know that the amendment, the proposals have been adopted. And this, what we have proposed, is to really to conform. Without the Supreme Court, we would not need this caucus. So this caucus is really to give effect to the Supreme Court ruling. And so you wait for the copies, will come out soon, very, very soon, and then we shall benefit from your insights. But this is a matter that it has gone through comprehensive consultations within the government, and I believe that Parliament will have an opportunity to pick your views as journalists, as civilians, as I think that's how Parliament does.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be free, but don't quote section 117. It was quashed on 31st of January. We don't have it in the laws of Uganda. This amendment complies and adopted the proposals by Supreme Court that all the leaders, the chairpersons of those courts martial, will be people qualified to be advocates. And from the advocates, there will be lawyers up to the top. The first one is a unit courts martial, will be presided over by a lawyer, but with others who will act as assessors. This is popular participation at that court level, and even at the division level, advocate and equivalent of who can be appointed the High Court judge, and the General Court Martial will be headed by a lawyer also can be appointed, who qualifies to be a judge of High Court, with the two other advocates in that who are military officers. So with that one, we've complied 100%. And then on the tenure, the Supreme Court also talked about the tenure, the appointment, the tenure. All that has been thoroughly harmonized. This UPDF amendment will be one of the best legislations that this country will be able to have very soon.